Hey, how you guys doing today? It was actually a long day for me. I worked outside most of the day, and it was freezing. And as you can see, I got a haircut, so I feel a little bit more confident. I feel better about myself. But it was a long day. But I wanted to talk today about bullying, and it's something that a lot of people talk about. And I think they've gotten much better at it because when I was younger, and I have to say that I look a lot younger than I really am. But when I was younger, I was just told just ignore the bullying, it will go away. But there was nothing that was done. None of this like zero tolerance thing, and nothing was done. So I sort of had to handle it on my own, like anybody else that was bullied. But I want to talk about my bullying story because it's something that has affected me even as an adult. The way that I deal with people and the way my confidence and things like that is a result of the bullying. And it was actually not, it was a short bullying, but it was so intense that even now as an adult, I'm still dealing with like the ripple effect. So I want to start off and say that I had learning disabilities as a kid and emotional difficulties. And so they put me in these small classes. And everything was going okay. My teachers treated me all right. The students treated me all right. My parents, my brother, like nobody really treated me any differently. I didn't know I was different, really. So it was kind of like a protective environment up until I was in third grade. And so they sent me to the mainstream class, which is where all the regular kids were. And so I got there, and like almost immediately I could tell that the kids didn't like me. And I wasn't quite sure why. I couldn't figure it out. And I kind of found out later it's because I was from the dumb class, you know. And so I was already pegged before they even met me. And I remember the first day. That was like the first moment I realized I'm different. And being different is bad. Like the way I speak, I had big glasses and curly hair and sort of a lisp, even though I'm straight. But, it pegs you. I'm a sort of a more feminine person. And so I remember, I think it was the first day, and the teacher said, I want somebody to do a math problem on the board. And well, one of my learning disabilities was in math. And I just sat there trying to figure it out, staring, getting frustrated, getting flustered. And that was a part of the emotional difficulties was when I was frustrated. When I was frustrated, I would get angry, I would get visibly nervous, and, it just created the bullying. So anyways, I get up to the board, and I can't figure it out, and I'm getting frustrated, and I eventually just walk off while the kids are laughing at me. And I always thought all those years how cruel it was to make somebody who was clearly learning disabled to solve a problem in front of the whole class. And I remember that was the first day. And it just got worse and worse, And then so I would go on the playground and they wouldn't let me play sports with them, And I just felt excluded. And mostly boys. And it went on and it went on. There were things where people would take my jacket, they would take my hat. And really the only ones that helped me were the girls. And it's funny because at the time they were like, oh, you could sit with us, we'll be your friends. And if I had known that, I certainly would have chosen that route. But I thought if I hang out with the girls, then it's going to make me weak and it's going to make the bullying even worse. So I pretty much just stayed to myself. And so it just got progressively worse. And there was one kid in particular that sort of created the bullying, and everybody sort of followed him. And I'm trying to remember what else. So, they would do things like, for example, they would surround me. They would physically surround me, and they would sort of rile me up. They knew that I was easily angered, so they would rile me up and just watch me go. And then I'd get in trouble. they'd say, well, you know, David's out of control. So, you know, I would get in trouble and they would sort of laugh about it. And they would call me dumb and they would call me fag and all, you know, all sorts of, I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I had no idea what gay was and that it was bad. I just knew that that word was bad. I mean, that's another thing. It's just, you wouldn't hear that today. That's a zero tolerance thing. But those are the things that I got called all the time. Because again, I'm feminine and I had big curly hair. And I didn't like sports. And I think the thing that hurts the most is I felt alone. I felt like I came to the teachers and I said, hey, you know, this is going on. They're bullying me, and they just basically said ignore it. And then again, like at lunchtime, the girls would try to let me sit with them, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. So I would sit by myself. And I think the worst day was I found out this kid that had befriended me wasn't my friend. And I don't know how it happened, but I lost control. And I kicked the kid in the nuts. I kicked the kid in the nuts in front of everybody. And then I was in like the closet where you hang your jackets. And the main bully took my head and he slammed it against one of the coat hooks, you know, the thing that's hanging. And I just felt like, this is just so awful, you know. Nobody should have to go through this. And it was a 6-7 month period, and eventually they sort of separated me from the rest of them. They put me in a classes with different kids, and it got better. But that sort of 6-7 months defined me for the rest of my life. And so I always feel less than. I always feel, regardless of maybe I look different, or maybe I sound different, or maybe I relate better to people, but I'm always going to be that little kid inside, and I'm always going to be hurt, and I'm always going to be sort of, my ears are going to be perked up, and my eyes are going to be watching and saying, is this person a bully? And so anytime I feel bullied, I get that knee-jerk reaction inside, like I'm 9 years old again. And it is so hurtful and so damaging. And, you know, people don't realize the effect that it has on adults. And again, a lot of it wasn't physical. Some of it was physical, some of it. But most of it was mental and emotional. Just being made to feel like you're stupid every day. And defending yourself, and then you getting in trouble. So the school really fucked up. Really, really bad. And I'll always be angry about that. Because they were supposed to protect me, and they didn't. And there's a part of me that's always going to be angry at those bullies. I mean, and even now you can sense the anger. Because no kid should have to put up with that. Especially since I had learning disabilities. I had just all sorts of issues. Family issues, things going on. And I didn't need that shit. I didn't, you know. School was supposed to be a safe place. And it wasn't a safe place. And I don't trust people fully because the people that were supposed to protect me failed me. So I couldn't trust them. So if you ask me, why don't I trust authority or why don't I trust managers? It's because at that time, they didn't care. They didn't do what they needed to do to protect me. And it's really unfortunate. And I know there's a kid out there right now that's getting bullied. And I'm on the autistic spectrum. I didn't know it for a long, long time. But there's a kid now who's probably on the autistic spectrum, who has social anxiety, who is getting bullied, who's getting the shit kicked out of him, and nobody's doing anything. And this kid's going home every day crying, wondering what he did to deserve it. You know, not realizing that no one deserves that. You know. And I think it starts with the parents. I think it starts with teaching your children that it's okay to be different. It doesn't matter what the difference is. It could be a developmental thing. It could be sexual orientation. It could be the color of someone's skin. It could be a disability. But you've got to teach your kids that being different is okay. And to accept and embrace people's differences. I think we've gotten a whole lot better. But parents really need to take the time to teach your children that no, it's not okay to bully somebody. No, it's not okay to take someone's hat or to surround somebody and intimidate them physically or exclude them. It's not okay. And I think we live in a bullying society. I hate to say it, my political views is I'm all the way to the left. And the sort of capitalist, materialist, greedy society we live in seems to promote that. It seems to promote this bullying culture where you have to be the best. You got to be number one. And it's bullshit. And so so when they talk about bullying, a part of it is our culture is a bullying culture. I mean, if you look at reality TV or you look at social media, it's all about laughing at somebody else's expense. It's all about 1,000 people bullying one person. And it's got to end. It's got to stop. And it starts with us as the adults. I don't have children, but parents who do have children, teaching your children not to bully. And that even if you don't like somebody, you still have to respect them, But yeah, this is tough to talk about, and I hope somebody watching this who's bullied or has been bullied knows, what I'm talking about. And again, even as an adult, I still feel bullied from time to time at work. And I just started a new job, and there was a woman, and I could sense right away that she was bullying me. And I just had a knee-jerk reaction, and I immediately said in my head, I said, she's a bully. I can spot one from a mile away. I've just learned not to react to it. I have learned that they're not worth it, that they're angry people, and I feel sorry for them. Anybody who feels the need to put people down all the time is a person who's hurt, because I've done that. I admit that I have bullied people in the workplace and in school. And you know why I did that? Because I was hurt. I lost my brother. I didn't feel good about myself. And maybe there's no excuse, but happy people, healthy people, don't feel the need to put other people down. They build people up, they encourage people, and that's what I try to do now. I try to be a different person than I was 6-7 years ago. So that's my story. Thank you for listening.